Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Spirit Guide Show. I hope you can see me and hear me. Let me know in the chat if you can, so I know I'm not talking to myself. And this week we will be talking about how to find your spirit guide's name. By the end of the show, you will know why knowing your spirit guide's name is important, why knowing your spirit guide's name is not important, how to find their name, and what to do if you still don't know their name after I told you how to do it. So I see you guys can see me and hear me. Awesome. Welcome, Hero, Shirley, Bogomila, Nimesh, Anna, Shirley, Alina, everyone else. Let me know where you're from. I know some people already let me know. Hi, Dylan. Everyone, welcome. So then the second part of the show, we will do mini readings. So I will do 3 or 4 mini readings for people who are here live today. And then the third part, I will answer your questions, like any questions you have about spirit guides, any questions you have about what we talked about today, their names, anything goes as long as it has something to do with spirit guides. But first, I want to introduce myself. My name is Yamile Yemoonyah. That's how you pronounce it. I'm a spirit guide medium, which means I can connect people with their spirit guides. And I'm also a Hay House author. I'm currently writing a book that will be published next year. I'm very excited about it. I also created the Spirit Guide Communication Master Course and the Spirit Guide Communication Circle, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. And I'm also the founder of Spirit Guide Society, and I'll mention that later as well. And you can find me at thespiritguidemedium.com, and I'll put that in the chat box for you guys if you're interested. Oh, shit. Are you guys still there? Yes, okay. I just froze a little bit and I was afraid that I lost you. So again, let me know where you're from, what do you hope to learn today, why are you here? If you have problems, by the way, like tech problems, refresh your screen, that usually helps. So while you're at it, while you let me know where you're from, also share with anyone that you know that might be interested in this topic, invite them over. There's a share button here. If you're on your laptop, I think it's on this side and on the top, but like just look around. So if you know someone, invite them. And if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, then come on over to Crowdcast, because only here can I do a mini reading for you, and only here can I answer your questions. There's a link either in the description below or the description above, depending on where you're watching. Click that link and come on over. Also, again, if you have tech issues, reload the page, and that usually solves the problem. All right, so I know we have Hero from Japan. Yes, from Japan, of course. And we have, let's see, we have Sal from London, Donna from Utah, Suzette from New Mexico. Welcome, everyone. So let's get started. Why do we want to know our spirit guide's name? This is the number one question that I get asked as a spirit guide medium. What is my spirit guide's name? Everyone wants to know their spirit guide's name, and it's a valid question. As humans, we are used to call each other by name. So we naturally assume that our guides have names too. Makes sense, right? And and also we assume that it's important to know their name so we can communicate with them. It's the first question we as humans ask each other when we meet someone new. It's an important first step in building a relationship, right? You usually don't go out to dinner with someone whose name you don't know. You usually don't invite someone over for coffee if you don't know their name. So it makes sense for us to want to know our spirit guide's name. However, the spirit world works differently. Spirit beings don't live in a physical 3D world. They don't need a name necessarily. Most actually do not have a name. So for example, an angel, why would an angel actually need a name? They've never been here in the physical world. They've never been humans. They've never communicated the way we communicate with each other. Just like every other being, including you, they emit an energy frequency. And this is true for all spirit spirit guides, not just angels. They emit an energy frequency. And this energy frequency serves as their name and their means to identify each other. So when, and this is just an image, again, they don't live in the 3D world, so they're not actually rooms. But imagine like your guides are in a room together, and they can feel each other, they can feel each other's energy, and that's how they recognize each other, how that energy feels. And they do the same with us. They don't necessarily call us by name. They just come close and they know, oh, that's you, because that's the energy that they feel. We humans also recognize each other by our energy frequency. We just mostly do it on a subconscious level. You know who's on the phone sometimes, you know, when you're doing the dishes and you know, oh, my friend's gonna call, and then she calls. And you know that because her spirit has reached out to you before she even picked up the phone. So she thought about, oh, I wanna call my friend. And just like that, knowing that means that her part of her spirit came to you, connected with your spirit, and that's what you know, that's what a part of you recognized. Oh, my friend is close. It feels like she wants to call me. So you recognize her energy. Or it feels like you have known someone. Oh, you meet someone new and it feels like you've known each other forever. Like you've known this person before. You've never met them before. You don't know their name, but it feels like, I know this person. I recognize you. I have no idea why it feels like this, but I recognize you. Well, this happens because we've actually known each other in past lives. And even though we don't know each other's names, we still recognize each other. So you don't actually need to know your spirit guide's name to communicate with them or to even recognize them. We are mostly unaware of the ability that we can recognize each other's energy patterns and each other's energy fields, each other's vibe, because our society does not believe in intuition and psychic abilities. So all these things that we recognize that go on, for example, like we said, when you know that someone's gonna call you, this process of knowing and recognizing that someone is going to call you happens unconsciously. Because, like I said, our society does not believe in intuition and psychic abilities. So all this, these abilities that we have, our intuitive abilities, they get shoved down into our subconscious. But that doesn't mean that they stop working. It's just like our heart keeps pumping blood without us consciously contributing it to it. So we use our intuition, we use our energy sensors, we use our clairsentience and our clairaudience. That's what we talked about in the last episode of this show. We use all this all the time, and all of us do. And I saw in the comments someone who talked about seeing pictures in her third eye. That's clairvoyance. And then Anya said, oh, wow, I wish I could do that. Everyone can do that. Anya, you can do it too. We all do it all the time. We just don't notice it because we do it subconsciously, just like our heart pumps and works subconsciously, but it's still there. So what I'm trying to say really is this: we don't need to know our spirit guide's name. And this is important to know because a lot of people focus so much on knowing their spirit guide's name that they're completely miss out on any kind of other messages that they're getting. They totally dismiss anything else because they think, first I need to know my spirit guide's name. Well, you don't. You really don't. We can recognize them, like we said, by their energy or by what they make us feel like. For example, if you have an angel around you, a really nice, friendly angel that when she's around or he's around makes you feel really light and makes you feel really happy and suddenly makes you smile and you can feel that your heart chakra opens. That's like their signature, that's their calling card. You can recognize them by that. You can also recognize them by a color. Maybe they just send you a color every time they're around you. Maybe every time you see a a purple blob with a silver outline. And first you think, what is that? That's so weird. And then at some point you realize, oh, that happens every time when my angel is around. So pay attention to everything, not just the name. Pay attention to all the little things that happen when you have the feeling, oh, my spirit guide is around. Or even if you don't know what it is, you just feel there's a being in the room. Pay attention to all your senses. Like pay attention to if you hear something, if you see something, if you feel something, if you are thinking something, if you have certain memories, all these can be clues. So the best way really to learn to recognize and communicate with your guides is to develop your intuitive and psychic senses, like these senses that I was just talking about. They're called the clairs. They're like extensions of our normal senses. And I teach how to do that in Spirit Guide Society. In Spirit Guide Society, the community I founded, but I'll tell you about that later. And what we're going to do now is like, let's get back to your spirit guide's name. Yes, I know I just said it's not important to know their name. You don't need to know their name to communicate with them. But our guides know that we as humans have a much easier time if we can address them by name. It's just what we're used to as humans, and it's hard to like get rid of that mindset that we needed. So what do? They're happy to give us a name, even if they don't have one. Like they don't need it for themselves, but they are happy to give us one, so that the communication between us and our guides flows easier. And what you have to remember, so they are okay with giving you a name, and they will oftentimes do that. But their name might not necessarily conform to any expectations you might have. And this is a biggie. Please remember this. Their name does not have to fit in our human standards of what a name is. And I'm telling you this. A lot of you already know your spirit guide's name. You just dismissed it because it didn't fit in your expectations. And we all do this. Like, I'm not saying you're a bad person. This is totally normal. Like I said earlier, we're humans. We have like a certain way of doing things and seeing things. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's also good to remember that maybe we can open our minds a little bit and see things as they see things, like our spirit guides. So their names might not necessarily conform to any expectations you might have. So it might not be a human name, but it might be the name of a plant or a color or an object. Like maybe or I'll give you an example in a minute. Or it might be a really ordinary, silly, or weird name. So I've had once, I did a reading for someone, and then a few days later I got an email from that same person, and she had gotten a name for a spirit guide, but she said, this is not at all what I expected. This isn't, I don't like the name. And I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like we have these expectations, and if it doesn't fit, then we dismiss it. And that's not how it works. Like if you meet someone new and you're making a new friend, and that friend has a name that you don't like, that doesn't mean that you're gonna say, oh, I don't like your name, I want to give you a new name. That's a little bit silly, right? So remember that it might also be a really ordinary, weird, or a silly name. Either way, keep an open mind when you do the exercise that I'm gonna talk about in a little bit. So the easiest way for you to find your spirit guide's name, and this is what you're all been waiting for, I'll tell you how to do it. The easiest way to find your spirit guide's name is to simply ask them. Yes, I know that sounds very simple and you're disappointed, but wait. It is as easy as like lighting a candle, quieting your mind through 15 minutes of meditation, and then simply asking your guide for their name. You do not have to know who they are. You do not have to know what they look like. You don't have to know anything, and it will still work. You simply set the intention with your mind, you set the intention that you want to speak to your guide, and then you do it. Don't overthink it. It doesn't matter if you talk to them in your mind or if you do it out loud. It doesn't matter if you meditate for 10 or 11 or 15 or 20 minutes. Do what feels right and makes sense to you, because they are guiding you in this. They will give you hunches and tips without you noticing. And you might just think, oh, this is your intuition. Or you might think, oh, this is just like your imagination. But they are giving you tips on how to do this because they know best how to communicate with them. So do what feels right and makes sense to you. Make it a little ritual. You can, like I said, light a candle, take some Palo Santo or something to cleanse the room. Maybe have something that represents earth, something that represents water, something that represents air, and the candle for fire. You can also draw a circle around you, maybe if you're outside, to designate a sacred space. Make it a little ritual because that makes the intention stronger. That's the whole point of rituals, to make the intention stronger. You can even make it, if you want to, like, really put your energy behind it, take a shower before you do it. Cleanse yourself on a spiritual level and on a physical level. If you want to make it even stronger, do 3 days of a diet. Don't eat any meat, no alcohol, these kinds of things. Again, do what makes sense for you. But the more energy you put into this ritual, the more you will get out of it. So, and then the hard part of this whole thing, of asking your guide, is to accept the answer you get. And we talked about this a little bit before, because I said the name might not fit into what you think the name should be like. It might be silly, or it might be the name of a plant or something. It is probably, the answer that you get is probably not going to come as a booming voice from heaven. That's another thing. People always expect like a certain way to receive answers. But it's probably gonna be more like a quiet whisper from the back of your mind. And maybe you're not even sure if you're making it up. Or maybe it will come as an image of your childhood friend Anne, and you dismiss it right away because you think, it's just a memory. Why am I thinking of Anne? I want to know my spirit guide's name. And you shove aside the memory of your friend. Or maybe suddenly you smell violets, even though there are none around. You're sitting inside and the windows are closed. And then you go ahead and make an appointment with your doctor because you think you're going crazy. The most important part about asking your guide's name is to trust what comes through. The minute you start this little ritual, everything that comes through, any feelings that you have, any visions that you have, and when I say visions, I mean anything that you see in your mind. Doesn't matter what it is. Anything you hear, even if it's outside an ambulance. Anything you just know, like downloads that you suddenly get. Anything that you feel. What did I forget? I think I forgot something, but you get the drift. So anything that happens, take it as part of the message. Do not dismiss anything just yet. That's very important. If you smell violets, going back to the example I just mentioned, if you smell violets, your guide's name might be Violet. Think about it. If you suddenly remember your friend Anne, that's a hint. The biggest secret when it comes to spirit guide communication, it's actually easier to speak to them than you think. It's really just about adjusting your expectations. So again, do it, make it as intense as you want. Prepare for 3 days, make it just a 5-minute thing. That's totally up to you. But remember to pay attention to everything that comes through. And when I talk about things coming through, I mean like really simple thoughts that come into your head, like your friend Anne. Take everything as a sign and write it all down while it happens. Don't judge it. Don't dismiss it. Just write it down. Like you were like camera and you're just recording what's happening. You're not judging at the same time. You can do that later. But first, just see what happens, record it for yourself. Yeah, and so like these expectations of how it should work, and we automatically dismiss anything that does not fix these parameters. That's the biggest problem. And because of that, spirit guide communication is something that you need to practice. You can't just like do it 5 minutes one time. You might be lucky, but you want to build a relationship. Relationships aren't built in 5 minutes. You need to spend time with it. You need to spend time with your guides. You need to spend time learning to communicate. Like when you're in a relationship, let's say a romantic relationship, in a new relationship, you also need to communicate with each other. There are two different personalities with two different communication styles. And with time, you develop the wisdom to understand each other and to not get into fights, for example. And the same is true for your spirit guides. It takes time, it takes practice. And that's why I also recommend, because like we use our intuition and we use our psychic abilities, and everyone has psychic abilities. There are no exceptions. We all have psychic abilities, and it's important to like develop these. Let them come from the subconscious, where our mainstream society like push them to. Let it come up, let it bubble up again, let it come into your conscious mind. And then you can actually consciously communicate with your guides, right? And also when you develop your intuition and when you develop your psychic abilities, it will slowly get you used to access, trust, and rely on those like really easy to miss guiding messages from your helpers, from your cosmic helpers. So now let's say you do this and it works out. Great. Let me know. Like, find me on Instagram. Let me know. Send me a message. I'd love to hear your story. What happened? But what do you do if you still don't know their name? Well, here's what you do. Make one up. Yep. That's what I said. Make a name up. It's totally fine. If it's important to you to have a name, and I totally get it, then make a name up. Just sit down, think about your guide. What kind of guide, even if you don't know anything about them, what kind of guide would you like to have? And what kind of name would that guide have? And then pick that name and go with it. If they care, if they don't like it, they will let you know. But they usually don't. They don't care what name you give them. They're happy like with anything that helps the communication between the two of you and that helps build the relationship between the two of you. So these are my tips on how to find your spirit guide's name. And if you like this first part of Spirit Guide Show, and you want to learn more about how to communicate with your guides, how to develop your intuition, how to develop your psychic abilities so you can better and consciously communicate with your guides, I run a weekly Spirit Guide communication circle where we practice communicating with our guides. And we do that, again, by developing our intuition and psychic abilities, and we do practical exercises every week. Plus, I also have a master course, which used to be a 5-month course, and I sold it for $555. And if the circle and the course are both for beginners to advanced, like complete beginners who have never ever done anything like this, to advanced psychics and mediums. Like, you can come no matter what your level is. And if you're interested in this, there's a 7-day free trial that you can try, and you can try it out, and you can come to the circle, and you can watch the first lesson of the Spirit Guide Communication Master course. And if you want to do that, then you can click the button that should not appear right now because it's not working. Uh-oh, well, let me see if I can fix this real quick. Sorry, guys. In the meantime, if you have questions, let me know in the chat. Give me 1 minute. Okay, almost there. Again, if you have questions, let me know and I will answer them later. Sorry, guys. That's what happens when you do live. All right, here we go. All right, now you should see, like, there's a button that says get more help with your spirit guides. There's a typo in there, but doesn't matter. So if you're interested, like, to check it out, come to our weekly circle, see the first lesson of the Spirit Guide Communication Master Guide, click that button and you will get a 7-day trial. The circle that you can access is actually 30 minutes after the Spirit Guide show ends, so you can like jump right in and join us. So what we're going to do in the second part of the Spirit Guide show today is readings, mini readings. So I will do, let's see, 3, 4. We don't have too much time, but I'll try. So if you want a reading, find the Ask a Question section. Again, you have to be like either on my website or on Crowdcast to see that section. It's called Ask a Question and it's down there. Go there and type in first time. Nothing else, no questions, no nothing else, no long explanations, just first time so I know and I can see you right away. In the meantime, while you do that, here are a few things that you need to know. First of all, I have my own definition of spirit guides. So my definition is that any kinds of being that comes from the higher realms and is connected to us in unconditional love is our spirit guide. And there are 7 types of spirit guides. So that includes angels, ancestors, the ones that you might have known, and the ones that you didn't know because they might be 10 generations back, 100 generations back, 1,000 generations back. It includes nature beings like elves, fairies, gnomes, etc. It includes star beings, otherwise known as aliens. But when I say aliens, people always freak out because they remember the scary Hollywood movies they've seen, and that's not what it's like. Then number 5 of the 7 types of spirit guides are ascended masters who were once human beings but left the reincarnation circle and are now helping from the other side. It includes deities, so gods and goddesses, and last but not least, animal spirits. So these are the 7 types, and any of these can come through for you when I do a reading for you. The second thing you need to know is that we all have a team of guides. So the one that has the most important message will be the one to step forward, which means it might not be the one that you already know. It might be a different one. And then the last thing is you get the message that you need to hear, which might be different from what you're expecting to hear. I always use the example of someone who comes to me and asks, should I get married to Harry or Barry? And your spirit guide is not even going to touch on that subject because they know you're not going to get married to either of them. So they're going to go ahead and talk about your career because that is actually what you should be focusing on. So be open for any kind of messages. All right, so let me see who wants a reading. By the way, I'm really sorry about this, but I can't do readings for people under 16. This is not because I don't want to. This has this is a legal issue. I would need like your parents' written permission to do so. Again, it's not because of me, but I don't want to get in trouble, obviously. You can still like book a one-on-one reading with me. That's fine. But again, I would need your parents' permission. All right, so let's see. We have Khadija. I'll invite you on screen. You get a little invite and you will have to accept that. And I will invite a few people at the same time. Anya, I know you really want a reading. Let me know how old you are, please. And please be truthful about it. Because again, I can really get in trouble. Axie, you are 11. Yeah, I'm really sorry.
Oh, no, I'm 27.
Let's see.
Oh, she's talking about.
Again, please only type first time, nothing else. I will answer questions later. Here we have Anna. I'll invite you on as well. And I'll do 2 or 3 at the same time so we can like get going. And we'll do Natasha. And then after that, we'll see how far we got and what the time says. All right, Khadija. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
I can't hear you, I think. Can you say something, Khadija?
Hello. Can you hear me?
No, I can't hear
Oh.
you.
Huh.
Can you try fixing that on your end? Or maybe it's... Is it me? I'm not sure.
Hello.
Let me see if something is wrong here. No. But I can't hear Natasha either. Natasha, can you try saying something?
Hello.
No, I can't hear you
No.
guys. That's a
Oh,
problem. Hold
I
on
can
one
hear
sec.
Natasha. I can hear you.
I can hear the other two.
Yes, now I can hear you. But it's super loud. Oh. Okay, can you guys still hear me? Can you just
Yes.
go like this if you can hear
Yeah.
me? Natasha, can you hear me?
It's very quiet.
Yeah.
No, I can't. Something isn't working. Okay, well, I'll just have to do it without you guys, without hearing you guys. Okay. So what I need you to do is that when I ask you something, like, do you understand this? Please type in the chat. Let me know. Yes, I understand this because, or yes, or no, or maybe whatever it is. Okay. This is important. All right, Khadija, we're going with you first. All right, Khadija, what I'm getting for you is like there's a little nature spirit lady here for you. She is a gnome lady, and she's wearing actually like very traditional pointy hat and like a skirt and a white blouse and a little vest over it. And when these types of spirit guides come through, it's usually because they want to work with you and with plants. So let me ask her precisely. Yes, so she says she wants to know, she wants you to build a relationship with plants and with herbs. She wants you to start looking into how you can heal yourself. This could be just because you have the flu or a cold or something more serious, but she wants you to, when you are in these situations that you need to heal yourself, to not like immediately take like medical drugs, unless of course your doctor tells you to. Always go to your doctor. But she wants you to at least use herbs and plants as supplements to get better. And she wants you to look into herbal teas, for example. I don't know if you like herbal teas, but look into which ones you might like. Start drinking them. Look into what specific herbs and plants can help you with, like on a physical level and on an emotional level. So learn about like, okay, what does ginger tea do? How does it affect my body? How does it affect my emotions? These kinds of things. So if you're not into this yet, look into it. She says this is like important, and it's not just about that. It's also about like going outside, being in nature, being with plants, really paying attention to plants, seeing plants as living beings and as sentient beings that you can talk to and have a conversation with. She says you can talk to plants the same way you can talk to spirit guides, like through like pictures that you get or through feelings that you get. It's like a telepathic communication. And let me see if she wants to give you a name. Okay, so she says her name is Asia. So that's it's spelled like Asia, but the way she pronounces it is Asia. All right, so let me see if you had any comments on that. Oh, sorry guys, can you hear me better now?
Oh yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me? Is that
Yeah.
better? Okay, sorry guys. I hope you still heard a little bit. Yes, I got it. I got it. Oh, sorry. Now it's too loud. Okay, is this better? You're an urban farmer? Yes, awesome. There you go. So this guide is with you to work with you on these things, so to help you on that path. So I'm very happy that you could confirm that, and yeah, I hope that helps you on your path forward. All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, let's see. Is the sound okay now? Let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so now we have, let me see, Natasha. Okay, Natasha. Let me close my eyes and tune in. All right, there's an angel here for you, female angel. Her name is Sarah with an H at the end. And she wants to talk to you a little bit about relationships. She says that it's important for you, and this is true for a lot of people, especially women, me included, but like it's important for you to learn to set boundaries, and it's important for you to, and this is actually even more important, to know what you want for yourself, for your life. To She wants you to like really be aware of what makes you happy and how you can give that to yourself. And all she says that will help you in your relationships. It will make relationships more harmonious. It will make relationships easier. And this is not just like romantic relationships, it's general relationships. If you know for yourself what makes you happy and you can give it to yourself, you are like in your inside of you, you are independent. You are not dependent on anyone, and that gives you the opportunity to actually really open your heart and really like connect with another person. Yeah, and that's really the message she has for you today. Does that make sense to you? Do you understand that?
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. If you have like anything like to add to that or to comment on that, please type in the chat. It's always nice for me to know how it makes sense. Thank you for coming. I hope
Thank
it
you.
helped you. All right, and now we have Anna. Let me see.
Hello.
All right, let me close my eyes. All right, so I'm not sure yet who is here, but I'm already getting a message that happens sometimes. So what your guide definitely wants you to know is this is about work. This is about letting like the people that you work with or the people that you work for or your clients or whoever it is that you are in relationship with at your workplace, really show them that you can help them. Really stand up and say, this is what I can offer you. Be aware of how valuable you are. Be aware of what you bring to the table. Be aware of like how you enrich other people's lives, how you enrich like the workspace, and really sit down and make a list for yourself of all the things that you have to offer, that you bring to the table. Now let me see. Oh, and this is extremely important because it will help you to not feel like you don't count, to not feel and to not let other people treat you as if you don't count, and to get the kind of work that you actually want to do. It's important to first see your own value first, and then others can see it as well. Let me see who is here to tell you that. Right, it's also an angel. It's a female one. She has like brown curls, long. She looks like she's European ancestor. She's in a business suit, and usually when I see angels in business suits, they like to talk about work. And that's their sign for me to like let me know, okay, this is gonna be about work and business. Let me see if I can get a name. Okay, so she says her name is Joanna, but she is okay when you call her Jo. And she says, like, work-wise, there is more to, like, there is more coming for you. There's more that you can do. There's more that you can contribute to the world than you currently think. So I hope that makes sense to you, and you understand that. Let me know. And I hope it helps you on your path forward. Thank you very much for coming. All right, so let's see, how are we with time? All right, I think I'm gonna go to questions because we only have 18 minutes left. So if you have questions, I forgot to say this earlier. Again, find the Ask a Question section. It's down there. And type in your question. And I will get to that in a second. So if you, in the meantime, if you want to book a one-on-one reading with me, they're 60 minutes long. And of course, I can go into way more depth than here in a mini reading, and you can ask questions. And usually there's 2 or 3 guides that step forward with messages. If you want to book sure, a reading, again, click that button that says get more help with your spirit guides. Or message me. Go to thespiritguidemedium.com and message me, or message me on Instagram. Reply to any of the emails I send to you, and you will get a 50% discount on your first reading if you haven't had one before. All right, so questions, post them in the Ask a Question section, not in the chat, but in the Ask a Question section. And I wanted to see real quick in the chat if there's anything that I need to reply to. Oh, Natasha says, so I just did a reading for Natasha. She says, this makes sense to me as I am having difficult relationships with friends at the moment. Thank you. You're very welcome. Awesome. Justine, yeah, you can, if you put it in the chat, then there's this question mark. I think that you can click and then it becomes a question. I'm not really sure, but what I'm talking about is not, don't type it in the chat. There's another section. It's down there, at least if you're on your laptop. It's called Ask a Question. Click there. Anya, please email me. I might forget. If you have questions, please email me. Justine, on what device are you on? It's definitely there somewhere. So just look around. It's called Ask a Question. If anyone else can tell her, like, help her, like, let us know what device you're on. Maybe there's someone else who's on the same device and can tell you where to find it. Right, or hit the plus sign to the left of the comment section. That's it. Great. Thank you, Kim. All right, let me look at the questions. Anna, awesome. She says, so this really helped me to know I am doing the right thing. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Guys, please ask questions that are different from the mini reading. So I'm not going to do more mini readings. I'm answering questions about spirit guides. Bogomila, I'm not sure what your question is. She said, I would like to contact my spirit guide and which way I need to find her. She's a woman from my mother's side. It was said to me around 15 years ago. The easiest way, and no matter what spirit guide, again, is to just talk to them. Because when you just talk to them, you set the intention. You kind of like open you open communication channel just by setting the intention, just by starting to talk to them. And then they will answer. Again, the answers might not come in the way that you expect them to. It will not be a booming voice from heaven. It might not be someone physically appearing in front of you. The answers come through symbols. Again, you might see the color blue, or you might think about violets, or you might remember your friend Anne. These are hints. This is how they communicate telepathically. They also communicate through coincidences, like synchronicities, like a book falls off the shelf and it opens on a page that answers the question you've had for 3 weeks. These kinds of things are communications from your spirit guides. So you need to be very like sensitive to energies. You need to be sensitive to things that are happening in your own head. Because again, a lot of the things happen in our subconscious and we don't even realize it. We like in the back of our head, we might hear a song and we don't even realize it until we suddenly start humming along. And then we're like, hey, where's that coming from? Oh yeah, I hear it in my head. You need to develop your sensitivity to really feel these things, hear these things, see these things more, be more aware, and then you will be able to pick up more on all these symbols, all these like communications from your guides. That's why and I know I keep saying it, but it's really true. Like, you need to develop your intuition and your psychic abilities. And again, we all have psychic abilities. There's no one out there who doesn't. Just like everyone can dance. You might not become a ballroom dancer, a professional one, but you have enough intuition, you have enough psychic abilities to communicate with your spirit guides. I guarantee it. It just takes practice. Just like any other skill, it takes practice. Okay, Kim says, one day out of the blue, I felt an overwhelming feeling of unconditional love and peace while getting out of my car to enter the grocery store. It was so intense, I had to sit back down in the car. My heart felt as though a heated blanket was placed over it. This occurred about 2 weeks ago after my mother's passing. Who would do this? My mother, a family member who passed, or my spirit guide? Well, what was your first reaction? Who did you think it was? Again, listen to your own intuition. Do not dismiss it. Do not think you're making it up. If you, like in that moment, before you started overthinking it, in that moment, who did you think it was? And let me know in the chat, because I'm curious about this. Usually we know exactly who it is. It's just that afterwards we start questioning ourselves, we start overthinking, and then we try to like ask other people, like experts, like me, experts. I'm not different from you guys. I just like developed my intuition, and that's all. So first, pay attention to what you think is real, what you think, who you think this is, how you think you can do something, and then ask someone else. Yes, exactly. Kim says, my mother. Yes. So then it was your mother. Why would you not trust yourself? Like, especially if she just passed away and you get this feeling. Did it remind you of your mother? Is this a feeling that your mother gave you during life? Maybe not every day, obviously, but like the kind of love that you felt. Was it the kind of love that you felt around your mother? If that's the case, yes, then it was your mom. Yeah, there you go. She was always more worried about you than herself. So she thought, well, Kim is cold. I'm going to put a little blanket over her. And so that's why you got this feeling, this blanket of love. That's beautiful. All right, let's see if there are more questions. And guys, I know I can't do mini readings for everyone. There's just not the time. And I'm sorry about that. Just come back next time, try again, or book a session with me. Okay, I'm trying to find more questions. Sorry, guys, I'm scrolling up and down here. Okay, here's something. Khadija says, I had a crazy deja vu last night. It was so strong, I not only thought the memory already happened, I also knew exactly what the person was going to say and how they were going to react, and I kept asking them why they did that again, but that was the first time it happened. What does it mean when deja vu is that strong? Honestly, I haven't figured deja vu out yet for myself. I don't really have the answer. I just don't have the answer. You know what, guys? If some of you, if one of you thinks you know the answer, like type it in the chat. Like this is like a conversation. This is a community. So if you have something to say, like if you agree or if you disagree or if you have other tips or other resources, please type it in the chat. The more input we all get, the more we know, the better we are off. So yeah, I'm sorry, I haven't figured out deja vu yet. But what I can tell you is that it is definitely a message that you need to decipher for yourself. So again, what I can tell you, what did it mean to you in that moment before you started questioning yourself, before you started overthinking it? What did it tell you in that moment? What did it make you feel like? What did it remind you of? What did it what ideas did it spark? What did it make you remember? Think about these things. Pay attention to what happens, what your reactions are to these kinds of experiences. That tells you a lot about the answer. And that's all I can give you for now. Sorry. So let's see. Stephanie says, love to know the names of my spiritual team. Yeah, so you'll have to come back for next time for a mini reading. Let's see. Zara wants to know, am I an indigo child? Sometimes I feel roadblocked from negative energies. Are they going to present more issues? I can tell you if you're an indigo child, but if you think you might be one, then you probably are. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be interested in the topic. And this is also true for psychic abilities, by the way, because I know like people that come to my show and these kinds of shows that are interested in these topics, that is not a coincidence. You are interested in these topics because it speaks to something that is inside of you that wants to come out. So if you are interested in psychic development, then you probably have psychic abilities, and probably more than the average person. Like I said, everyone has psychic abilities, but if you're interested in this topic, you probably have these abilities more than a lot of other people. So go for it. And the same is like indigo children. If you think that if you're super interested in like the stars and space travel and all that, maybe you're like from another planet yourself. Maybe you're a star seed. Look into that. Trust yourself. Trust the path that you are on. Mm. Oh, and you also asked, I feel roadblocked from negative energies. This is another question I get a lot, like negative energies or even negative entities. Um, to be honest, I think that when we feel blocked, it's usually ourselves. Yes, there is a possibility that it's like someone else or like another energy or um, whatever, but usually it's really just ourselves. It's and I'll tell you what exactly I think it usually is. We are not we feel blocked when we are not fully aligned with our own souls. So if we, like, let's say our soul came here to experience what it is to be successful, for example, And another part of us is afraid to be successful. So that other part kind of like is not aligned with our soul and what we came here to do. And so that other part blocks us a little bit. Not on purpose, not because it's a bad part of you, not that your ego is bad or anything like that. It's just not aligned. And if it's not aligned, then like it can't go forward. So the most important part is to again, let go of any expectations also when it comes to your life. So you can align again with your path, because your path, the path you chose, is the one that takes you to where you can be happy. Your ego doesn't. Again, there's nothing wrong with the ego. We need it, but we need to align ourselves. And that's usually the reason why we feel blocked, because we're kind of trying to go in a direction that our soul doesn't want to go to. Okay, so I see that Khadija says in the chat, honestly, with the deja vu, I thought, wow, everyone can see the future, and this is my confirmation for myself. And it really made me think about my dream world. I feel like I see a lot in my dream world. It's very realistic and detailed dreams that feels like my regular day-to-day world, not crazy surreal dreams. Dreams that are very day-to-day and normal. Mm-hmm. So, like, the deja vu made you feel that everyone can see the future. Yeah, I think probably we can. And maybe you have, like, if that's what you thought, then maybe you have an ability to see the future, and you should look into that. Like, what's it called? No, not huh? Sorry, there's a name for it. Precognition, that's it. So maybe you want to Google that, and maybe Google something like develop precognition, because there are exercises out there. All of this stuff you can learn. It's not like someone has a gift that you don't have. You can learn it, and there's information out there. Just go to Google and type in develop precognition, develop clairvoyance, whatever it is. The information is out there. You do not have to be born gifted to do this kind of stuff. Justine says we are multidimensional beings, you know? Yes, we are. I totally agree. So let me see if I can answer one more question. Right, this is all about connecting with spirit guides. Okay, so Anna says, I am Wiccan and my dad always told me that we are witches. I don't know if you could tell me or pick up on anything like that, but if you can, it will help. Well, if your dad says that, then I'm sure there's a reason. Why does your dad say that? Like, was your grandma also a witch, or your great grandmother? Is it like a family thing? Is it a lineage thing? If so, then the chance that you are one is very high and very likely. And if you are Wiccan, so that means you're already interested in that topic. And again, like, what we feel drawn to usually shows us who we are. And we do not have to like question that, or like don't dismiss your own calling, because the more you dismiss it or question it, the weaker it gets, and then we feel lost and we feel blocked. We need to trust ourselves, and we need to trust our guides, and we need to trust it, our own senses. And I'm talking not just about the physical senses, but again, the clairs, like how we perceive information that comes from the spirit world. So Anna says, he always said it was his grandma and his great-grandma were also witches and taught him things and passed down everything. Yeah, well, then you inherited it. Awesome. That's great. Ask him as many questions as you can. Like, if they taught him, learn everything you can from him. And if your grandma is still around, learn from her. Or if there's like any like written documentation by her, or anything that she left behind, any like objects that she maybe used, get them, work with them, connect with your grandmother in spirit, ask her. There's a lot to learn from our ancestors. So yeah, I would definitely say you are. Go with it. Take out your broom and go for a spin. One more question. Elisa says, I hear sounds in my ears and I'm always seeing numbers 5, 11, 8, 11, 11, 11 constantly. What does that mean? Sounds in your ears is usually because your clairaudience is opening up, which means you have the ability to hear information coming from the spirit world. And when I say spirit world, guys, I don't just mean the world where like we go when we die, but when I talk about the spirit world, I talk about like the world where also the angels are, where our ancestors are, where the nature spirits are. So basically anything that's not like physical. So yeah, it's probably your clairaudience opening up. We did a show, I think it was the last one. So if you like go to my profile here in Crowdcast, and look at the past shows, you will find it and you can listen to it. And there, I think we did like, I introduced 3 exercises that help you with your clairaudience to develop it. So yeah, that's what sounds in your ears is usually, again, also ringing, same thing. Of course, it can also be physical. So if it hurts or it bothers you, please go to see a doctor. And then the numbers is oftentimes something that happens at the beginning of someone's awakening, or we also go through cycles when it comes to our awakening. So you could also start a new cycle. And it's basically a sign that tells you to pay attention. So when you see one of these numbers, and it doesn't matter which one it is, if it's a number that like grabs your attention, pay attention. Not just to the number, but realize someone is trying to communicate with you. So pay attention to all your senses. Look outside what's going on around you. Look inside what's going on inside of you. What do you hear inside of your head? What do you see inside of your head? What memories come up? Pay attention to everything that's going on, because somewhere there's a message. And even if you don't understand it right away, don't worry. Just be like a recorder. Record everything that's happening, analyze it later. And that's really what it is, these numbers. Like it says, pay attention. I'm trying to talk to you. And the different numbers can mean different things, and they can mean different things to different people. You can go on the internet and look them all up. There are like different people that have them all written up, like what it exactly means. Read them, these definitions. If they speak to you, great, take it. If it doesn't speak to you, forget about it. Listen to your own intuition. It could also be that, like, for example, 511, maybe that means something very specific to you. Maybe that's when your child was born. So it means something specifically to you and to no one else. So think about that first. What does it mean to me? If you're not sure, like really not sure, then go to the internet and look it up and see if you find something that makes sense to you. All right, let me see in the chat if there was anything else. Oh, Destiny, sorry you missed it. But you know what? If you stay here after this is finished, it only takes a few minutes and the replay will be available right away. So just wait 2-3 minutes and you can watch the whole thing. Anna and Sarah say thank you. You're very welcome. And Kim says, love your definition of the spiritual world. Anything that is not physical. Great reminder. At times we can make it an overwhelming concept. Yes, I try to make things simple. I'm a Virgo, so I like practical and I like simple. All right. Well, guys, time is up, but I'll be back next week. I'm not sure yet what we will talk about next week, but there will also be more mini readings, more Q&As, so I'd be happy if you came. And again, like if you want to like join me for the circle, practice your intuition with practical exercises, click that button below. If you want a one-on-one session and 50% off, message me. Go to my website, spiritguidemedium.com, and message me. Sorry, thespiritguidemedium.com, and message me. Also, I share more tips, tricks, and resources on Instagram. and you can follow me there if you're interested. And maybe send me a message there as well. Let me know that you came from here, and I'll follow you back. And that's really it for today. Thanks for coming, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.